Disclaimer.
The thoughts and opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily the views of Tash, Becky, or Be Your Best You podcast.
Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes, and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up, and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash.
And Becky, the guest edition. And today on the show, we have Jenna Ewing.
Jenna is an astrologer, birth chart reader, and soul guide. And we had such an awesome conversation with her. She's so cool.
She's so cool.
Isn't she?
And you're definitely going to want to have your birth chart read by her.
100%. But what we loved about our chat with Jenna is because astrology is such a huge, vast subject, but Jenna's really given you some great takeaways that you can go and start doing by yourself. And then if you feel the pull and you feel called to, you should. And you can go and get your birth chart done with Jenna. Anyway, guys, we hope you enjoy it. It was such a great conversation. Before we start, if your mind is constantly telling you, I should be doing more, and you're stuck in that cycle of overthinking, pressure, and never feeling like you've done enough, we've made you a free 12-minute audio reset. It's called Return to Self, and it's linked in the show notes. And today we have on the show Jenna. Jenna, welcome.
You two are just delightful. Like, you make smiles. It was just like so lovely. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Oh, thank you, Jenna. We're so excited to talk to you. Right, before we dive in, could you just tell everybody who you are, what it is that you're doing in the world right now?
Oh, I love it. So my name is Jenna. You could also on Instagram, I'm called the Scorpio Moon Coach, which I'll explain later. But essentially, I'm an astrologer and a soul guide, and I've been on there aren't kind of words actually to really describe my journey the last 3 years of how wildly different I am today, like sitting in front of you both. And all of the changes that have happened in my life. And so much of that has come from me having my birth chart read almost like 3.5 years ago. That was the kind of a big catalyst moment, which has kind of led me on this journey to be sat in front of you today.
Wow. Do you know what? And we always, that leads us on perfectly to really where we want to kind of go next, because we find, with people who are working in this type of work in our arena, there's always a story. There's always a backstory as to what kind of brought you to where you are now.
Yeah, sure.
And so, if you're happy to, could you share who were you before and how did you get here? What was your kind of journey to get to doing what you're doing now?
Yeah. So around, it was about 3.5 years ago, I was very much in the trenches of motherhood. So I have 2 little girls. At the time, they were 3 and 6 months old. And very, still in that phase of very sleep deprived, being a bit like, I found the transition from 1 to 2 babies just wild.
Yeah.
But it was also, it was a time in my life where I just was feeling very lost and very kind of just had this gut feeling of like something doesn't feel right, or something isn't right, and I don't really feel particularly happy. And it was really confusing because I had a 9-to-5 job, like with lovely people as a PA in media industry. I was married. I had these 2 gorgeous children. Like I had a roof over our heads, like all of these things. And I ticked all of these boxes and followed a path that we're told we should.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I was still kind of sitting there thinking, like, why don't I feel like happy, or like, what is that feeling? And then during that time, around the time of my birthday, I just got intuitively drawn to have my birth chart read, and I didn't even know. Oh God, my doorbell's going. Can you hear that? Oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Do you
And
want to get it?
and no, another neighbour will pick it up. It's fine.
Okay.
It's just numerous Amazon parcels that are just
Christmas.
towards me for Christmas. But yeah, I didn't really know what a birth chart was. I was spending a lot of time of it on Instagram as like on my maternity leave scrolling, and I just saw an influencer say, "Oh, you've had your birth chart read." Like, I've just had it done. It was really amazing. And I just knew that something was in it for me, but I didn't know what that was. Anyway, fast forward to me sat there face to face, well, on Zoom with this lady, and she, within 20 minutes, she had described like who I was, and but like who I was like inside, like kind of the soul of me. And so much of that, I was like, what is she talking about? Because she was talking about building a community, making a great coach, like all of these things. And I was just like, right now, this version of me can't see bigger for herself than the room I'm in kind of currently. But at the same time, there was also something inside of me that was like, yes, I know I can do that. And so how I describe having my birth chart read was an awakening. It was like my kind of spiritual awakening. It was lights kind of coming back on side within me. And it was this kind of process. No, it was like a kind of catalyst moment for me starting to remember actually who I am at my soul essence. And then from that moment, like, she recorded it, like, and I record all of my readings now because I had to, it's such a, when you're having your birth chart read, it's so much information and it's all kind of going in, but at the same time you're listening, but then you're trying to connect the dots and memories are bubbling to the surface, and it's just a lot. So I listened to recording over and over. And then within the next kind of 6 months, I had left my job as a PA, started my own business. A couple months after that, my husband and I had decided to separate, like, amicably, with so much love, which I am beyond grateful for. And I've moved out of the marital home like a year later. Like, it was a real kind of like wake up of just like, you're not happy in certain areas and you need, but that birth chart reading, it was just bit by bit, I was just kind of coming home to who I was. And your birth chart is this astrological unique map of your soul essence. So when you're like, you are absolutely kind of called, I think, to connect with your birth chart, or human design, or whatever it is, because I do think that there's, all of them they serve their place, I think, for people's awakenings and for people's remembering whenever it, is the right time for them.
Yeah.
But I think soul you just kind of draws you, like, intuitively leads you back to it because it wants you to remember, like. And the kind of example that I really love to give is that, when like you have young children, so my youngest is 4, and she knows who she is completely.
Yeah.
She has such self-belief. Like, she's just like, I want to be a singer, I want to be that, of course I can, like, no question. And she kind of walks into her room and she just is who she is, and she says what she feels and thinks and all of that. And the human experience is for us to, well, I was going to say unfortunately, but I just think as we are here to grow. So we go through, having the parents we are given, or the caregivers, like going to school, in friendship groups and all of these things where we kind of learn to hide certain parts of ourselves. So that kind of, we've said that one thing, and then a teacher treated us a certain way or said a certain thing to us, and then we push that part of us down and it gets hidden and it gets forgotten. And it's, your birth chart is that coming back to kind of that younger version of you that is so tapped into their soul essence. And so when you start to connect with your birth chart, you can't help but start to kind of take off masks. It's like this amazing self-discovery tool, basically, for you kind of living your life day by day really authentically as you are. So when I sit here now, I feel really me. Whereas before, if I'd met you, I would, I wouldn't have had the pink hair. I probably would have been wearing like a Breton striped top because that was just the mum uniform at the time.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think I had anything interesting to say, quite
Mm.
honestly. And I didn't feel creative, and I didn't feel like anyone cared what I had to say. And I was just like mum, wife, like employee. That was it. Whereas now I can see, I feel so much more lit up by my life because I'm living it more authentically as me. It was a long
Yeah.
answer.
No, that is
The best.
perfect. Oh, just and like we can resonate. I say we, like I can know I can speak for you as well.
Yeah.
We resonate with your story as well because that's just kind of how we got. We came at it through a different path, but that getting back to your soul's essence, like removing all the masks that we put on and the identities that we've created for ourselves,
Yeah.
was just where we got to. And it's just you're right, like you are just a completely different person, and yet you're the person you were always
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
came
That's
into
why.
this
Yeah.
world to be.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like I feel like I always have to remember to say that connecting with your birth chart is a remembering, because you've always been under that. You've always been who you are under all those masks and the conditioning and all of that. But I think we are meant to travel through all of that, because my other
Right.
belief is that we're here as a soul. We chose all of the placements in your birth chart. So you have a sun, a moon sign, a Venus, a Mars, like all of these things that are completely unique to you. So you chose that magical mix, but you also chose a lot of the kind of the lessons and the adversities and the challenges and all of that to navigate, because with that comes so much growth. And that, like, as a soul, like human us is like, fuck that, I want to stay in my comfort zone and I want to stay safe and I want to know 20 steps ahead. Whereas like soul us is like more like, no, I want to navigate all the things. I want to face all the ups and downs, because that's where the growth is. That's where I learn the most and gain the most wisdom. And then on I go to like next lifetime, or that's what it feels like to me. Because sometimes it really irks me sometimes when you're listening to podcasts and someone is so like, it happens this way and this is what and you're just like, how fuck do you know? Like, sorry,
Yeah.
you swear. Yeah.
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 Continue.
But like, how do you know? How do you know that 100%? So it feels really important to me to say, I don't know any of this to be true, but I just feel it to be true. And when I've tapped into what I'm doing, and when I've done it with multiple people and helped them kind of connect with their birth charts and remember and all of those things, it has provided like so much growth and like has allowed so much freedom, I guess, for them to just be who they were always meant to be.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love that you said that as well, Jenna, because I feel exactly the same. Obviously, we're on the podcast, talk on our solo episodes when we're kind of talking about stuff, and I'm always making such a point to say, this is from my intuition, this is from what my perspective and what I've learned and seen with my experience of working with the clients that I've worked with, etc. But please, like, go run it through your own intuition and trust what you're getting. But what I love is that, the more that we're talking to all these different guests that we talk to on the podcast in all different areas of like expertise, we're all saying the same thing. You've like literally just said the same thing that I say from the work that I do with past life regression and hypnosis and working with the subconscious mind. Like, in my past life regressions, I've had people that tell me that we choose our soul families, our soul contracts. And I love the astrology part of it, because I'm like, yeah, that's how we did it. Like, we choose who we want to be, the characteristics we have, the journeys, the lessons, our strengths, our soul gifts, blah, blah, blah. And then when I started learning about the birth chart and I saw like the North Node and the South Node, I'm like, oh, this is how we do it. This is how we impart like our soul's gifts, and we bring it ties in with the past lives, the stuff that you bring in as well. And so for me, you're just talking, I'm like, yeah, I totally agree with you. That feels like my truth too.
Exactly. But it just, I don't know, it just feels so, because sometimes you do, they tend to be more American, but where the people speak with absolute certainty. And it's not that I don't believe what they're saying, but I also am like, we have to it
Yes.
feels wrong to me to just be like, this is the one way. And where people talk about, I'm this star seed and I'm that, and then these are the characteristics of this star family or whatever, and I'm like, I it's not that I'm not open-minded to that, but it's just that we have to be really careful, I think, that we're not saying this is the absolute truth. It's like, well,
Yeah.
how the fuck do you like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
none of
Yeah.
us know. None of us
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But you have, but at the same time, we're all on our unique journeys, and we're all figuring out what feels spiritual and kind of soul fulfilling and all of that. We're all finding our own magical mix through everything. And I actually think everybody has their own spiritual kind of, however they see that, kind of tools and things that they lead themselves on their own unique path. So there can't ever be one right or one
No.
particular way. I don't know where that
No.
comes from.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, I think that there's every single potential and possibility is possible in this universe when you start looking at, like, what we're actually living in, and the energies and the fields and everything. You're like, everything's possible, so everyone can have their own truth. I think it's just really important to not push that truth on other people. And also, like with the work that, in this kind of area of work that we're all working in, I think it's really important, and it's very, like, important to me as well, like, just to empower people to trust
my God.
themselves,
Yes.
to trust their own intuition. And, like, you can hear other people, but like, take that and use it as inspiration, but then you decide, because they're right and so are you. And it's not about saying someone's wrong or you're wrong or they're right and I'm not. No, it's like, everything's right, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, we're all on our own journey, and we're all coming at it from different lenses, which is exactly what we're supposed to do, I think.
Yeah, I love what you just said then about, because it kind of disempowers people, because just kind of bring it back to astrology, that in, I think it's February next year, because the astrology this year has been really wild, and then it kind of continues early next year. But so that
Yay.
what that made me what was that?
That's a yay.
Oh, yay! But in February, the planets, what am I trying to say? Oh yeah, the planet Neptune. No, in January. Sorry, January. The planet Neptune, which is very in your birth chart, really symbolizes, like, kind of our spirituality, your unique spiritual path. It's very connected with the other like dream realms and spirituality, essentially, because I like to keep it as simple as possible. It's been in Pisces for, oh God, I'm gonna not get this right now, but for a long time. And in January, it's moving into Aries. So what that kind of tells me is Aries is about kind of leadership, and kind of there's an independence to Aries. And so what that tells me is that kind of Neptune moving into Aries is asking us to kind of be our own guru, to kind of empower ourselves with our spiritual path. Whereas before it's, that it's kind of been a bit more maybe looking outside of ourselves. Whereas now it's actually, it's why when I kind of coach people, I don't want to work with them for longer than 3-6 months. I want them to go off and kind of have the tools and the self-belief and kind of all of that to kind of go off on their own for a bit, because I would be doing something wrong if I felt like somebody needed to work with me for a long time, or just was like, no, I can't do anything unless, you're with me or giving me advice. It's like, no, I want you to tap into your own intuition and your own inner knowing, and to like learn how to guide yourself and trust yourself. So astrologically, when you said that about, the empowering yourself, like, I just think that really ties in, like, because Neptune is one of the outer planets in the solar system. When that planet shifts sign, it really affects us all collectively. It's such a huge shift in energy. It's been in Pisces for such a long time, then shifting into Aries. It's asking the whole collective to kind of embody that energy, which is why it feels, so significant.
That feels exciting.
That's going to be a powerful year, isn't it,
Mm.
then next year?
Mm.
That seems like all the work that, like, you guys have been doing with people is going to start integrating next year, hopefully.
Right.
You've given them back their power,
Yeah.
and then they can go on, and hopefully with that with the Aries and Neptune. That's awesome, isn't it?
Well, it's just amazing, isn't it? Because we're all like giving away our power in so many different, like
Yeah.
collectively, individually, we've been giving away our power for so
Mm.
long, haven't we? And I just like, that's really exciting to hear that astrologically speaking, we're going to get a little help, because that's the work we're trying to do, right? Empower people
Yeah.
to like trust themselves. So if we're going to
Mhm.
get a little helping hand by Neptune, that's really cool. I love that.
And then the following month you have Saturn, which is a kind of, you might have heard of Saturn returns and things like that, but Saturn really is a planet that asks us to get kind of a bit more disciplined, a bit more serious, like what's our responsibility, thinking about things in more of a longer term kind of goals. But that also has been in Neptune and is moving into Aries, so it's also getting us, as well as that kind of that spiritual kind of empowerment, it's also Saturn is then bringing in a kind of, right, what's the plan here, like how can we really master like our own identity, like how can we get more serious about like who we are becoming, like because we say we want to be XYZ or we're going to do X, but actually what plan do we have to put in place to actually do that? And it kind of, Aries is fire, so it is a lot more kind of direct, it's a lot more kind of fast moving, it's a lot more kind of bold, like making bolder decisions, whereas both those planets have been in Pisces before, which is more kind of watery and in flow and are just kind of a bit more dreamy and let's kind of take our time, whereas Aries is like, right, we're going.
Like that.
Oh, it's time, isn't it?
Need some of that. Okay, awesome. Right. So then, because I know astrology is so big, isn't it? And we were just saying, weren't we? It's like, it's really hard. It must be really hard for you guys as astrologers to kind of condense everything that you know and all the stuff that comes like into astrology and like try and help people in a really short amount of time. So with that being said, that
only know like a slither of it. Like it's so vast, and I'm constantly like having to talk myself out of being like, oh, I don't really know anything, because that is true, but at the same time it's like, okay, well, you do know more than other people that don't.
Yeah. 100%. So for people listening then, because obviously everyone knows about when they say their star sign, it's their sun sign, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows their sun sign. But what's the kind of thing, if you're like talking to people now and saying like, I know there's so much more to astrology than that, what's the kind of basic things that you would like people to know about their birth chart? Obviously, you need to go and see an astrologer to have your birth chart read. I get that. But what would you like people to know really is the most important thing, what they can do with it?
The thing that feels most important to me really is actually just knowing that, like, it's called your big three. So knowing your sun, moon and rising sign, because your sun is, that, like you said, most people know that because it's your star sign, which is a very important energy to kind of get to grips with and to understand, because when you really embody your sun sign energy, that's what makes you magnetic. And a great example of this is when I was sat having my birth chart read, and so I'm a Leo sun, and she was telling me all of are you a Leo sun as well? Oh, I love it. I did not resonate with Leo then. In my mind, because of where I was and the masks and all the roles that I was playing, I was like, show off. I don't want to be seen by anyone. I don't want to stand out. Like, no. But when she was telling me these things and I've slowly edged my way into Leo energy and become more me, the happier I've become. And actually the more magnetic I have become in terms of like opportunities coming towards me, like relationships, friendships, all like, because I'm being more me essentially. And that was a big part of, I think, why I wasn't feeling kind of as lit up, because I wasn't embodying that sun sign. So even just like, again, just because I'm just thinking of what is helpful, if you're not resonating with your sun sign energy, it's like have a little bit of a deep dive into actually what your sun sign energy is, and then think about yeah, is it, if it resonates, if it doesn't, and then if it doesn't, like, why? Like, what kind of sneaky things are you telling yourself about, oh, they're like the negative? Because I was just really focusing on like what I'd heard, the negative kind of connotations of Leo being a show off, and actually somewhere inside there, I've probably been told as a child, oh, she's showing off, or she's being dramatic, or whatever. Yeah. That's your sun sign. Your moon is your internal world. It's basic. It's a part of you that I think, God, an astrologer I love, Stephen Forrest, explains it of like, when you look after your moon sign, that's the secret to happiness, because your moon sign is like the zodiac energy of how you need to be like really nurtured. It's like an inner child. So just knowing your moon sign, if you just like leave this conversation like today and just look at your moon sign and kind of understand that, because that's the bit, well, that's the major bit that blew my mind in my birth chart, because I have a Scorpio moon, which is where, like, that's why I'm called Scorpio moon coach, because that was the bit that's where she was like talking about my like inner workings and what it is that I need. And I was thinking, how the fuck, I don't understand how she knows this about me. I didn't even realize I knew this about me. And that, but it's so true, because where my Scorpio moon is in my birth chart, it's like I need deep conversations with people. I don't like talking about surface level shit. And I really need like transformation. I need to be able to move through the kind of death and rebirth cycle and kind of keep kind of traveling through that. And I do that really well now, I'm realizing. But at the time, I wasn't getting any of that and actually in my job, I wasn't getting that in my relationships. And so that key part of me was not being kind of nurtured. It was not being looked after. And I find that with the moon sign especially, like, it's one, so important to know that for yourself, but also get to know your partner's moon sign, know your kids' moon signs, like that. The moon sign bit for me feels like this golden piece of information for deeper understanding, deeper connection, deeper like love, like intimacy in with yourself, but also in all of your relationships with your those that you love. Like that for me just feels like I want everyone to have a tattoo of their moon sign, or like to get that visual reminder, because it's so life changing. And I have read so many people's birth charts and they have no clue, and then they're like, oh my god, that's me.
If you're trying to manifest your desires, but you're doing it from pressure, from control, from I need to fix myself energy, your body won't let you receive. We made you a free 12-minute nervous system reset called Return to Self, so you can soften first and then create from the right energy. It's linked in the show notes.
And I should say, I'm just talking about the zodiac signs, but actually when you're having your birth chart read, it kind of looks like, have you seen one? Birth chart?
Yeah, I've had my birth chart read, but it just, I looked at it, I was like, oh God, no.
What's complicated?
Absolutely bonkers bananas. It kind of looks like a pie chart, but there's lots of lines going on, and it's like, but it is like a pie chart, and it's split into all of these different sections, and those kind of each slice of the pie is a house, and that's a different area of life. So it's like, as well as knowing the zodiac sign, you also want to know the house, because that is going to tell you like the energy of like what it is that your moon really needs, but also where particularly in your life you need it. So it's those two bits that kind of really kind of give you this completely unique perspective on you. And then you layer on top of like, are there other planets next to it? How are the planets talking to each other? And you just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then, the other one in your big three is your rising sign. So that is very much an energy that it's, you can look at it two ways. It's one that it's kind of, if you were meeting someone for the first time, it's kind of an energy that you might present to them. So like almost like a persona type thing, just of like, if you just never met anyone before, you might just, so mine is Cancer. So I just tend to be like, oh, how are you? Like, can I get you anything, or blah, blah, blah. But it is also and this feels a bit more kind of true to me, it's like it's the energy that you're kind of ascending into, it's the energy that you're rising into. So it is another element of you that's kind of really needs to be considered to kind of help with your evolutionary kind of journey and who it is that you are kind of rising into becoming this lifetime. But just as a kind of like baseline, like where to start, I would get to grips with your big three, and kind of the priority is your moon sign.
Yeah.
Can you just look those up? Can you just like on
Yeah.
Google?
So yeah. So you could just, there's lots of there's a link on my website where you can just create your birth chart for free. But there's loads of other platforms, and there's loads of apps and all sorts of things. The one that I use, because it's kind of a real astrologer's one, is called, sorry, I'm gonna burp. Astro.com. That's a good one, and you can just create an account for free, and it brings it up, and it has a key, and it just tells you. But you need your time of birth in order to kind of get a really accurate birth chart, essentially, because the time of birth is what gives you your rising sign, and that's what gives you that houses kind of all those slices in the pie, and gives you more of that kind of uniqueness to you.
Yeah. So if you say so I've got I know that my moon sign is Libra. But
Right.
so if I had, if so, are you saying because of the houses,
Mm-hmm.
like someone else could have a Libra moon sign, but depending on where that it's in the house, it could be, we could need totally different things. Like, does it
Yeah.
does it change? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's just so intricate.
So for instance, like, you could have a Libra moon in the third house. The third house is all about kind of how you use your voice, like it's communication. It's also kind of linked to siblings. If it was in the 10th house, that's more about you, because like a Libra moon, like Libra is the sign of the scale, so that is balance, like needing a kind of sense of like inner peace and equilibrium, and but it's also very sees things from both sides always, like needs. I'm actually working with someone at the moment who has a Libra moon, and it's like she needs time to kind of consider things and weigh things up, because she does see both sides, and it's like being like, sometimes we can be so like, kind of make a decision. But my ex-husband is Libra sun and Libra rising, so I know that kind of, I really understand that energy more and more. You kind of can't not, when you love someone that has
Yeah.
that, and you see that day to day. But Libra needs that sense of balance, peace, but also fairness. Like, fairness is so important, and especially if we're thinking about you as like a Libra moon, it's like that, like that level of fairness will affect you way deep. You need that more than somebody that, for instance, has a Libra sun, because it's your
Right.
moon. It's like, I need that to feel like nurtured, or I need to feel like there's balance, but
Yeah.
but it's kind of taking that energy and then thinking, but does that affect me more in my career, or in my relationships, or kind of in my family unit, or just me just focusing on my own kind of self-growth and my self-development? It's like, you get to kind of, it's hard not looking at, it's kind of hard interpreting it when you haven't seen the chart, but like,
Yeah.
when you, the layer of that makes it really unique to you is the house section.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's so awesome, isn't it? And I love the tip you've given to go and look at your sun
Sun, moon, and
sign.
rising. Yeah.
Yeah, and see where it's not aligning with you, and that's maybe a place to start. Like, I'm
Yeah.
Sagittarius, and we're supposed to be adventurous,
S-
and I don't feel
Sagittarius sun.
Yeah,
Yeah. But also, like, but Sagittarius is like, so it's all about kind of expansion, but it's of the so horizon, so like travel and like adventure and things like that, for sure. But it also is of the mind, so it's like, I want to have deep and meaningful conversations. Like, I want to like kind of learn more. I want to hear about like your beliefs and your values, and that kind of deeper meaning of life. Like, and so I can see that.
I
And
get it.
and it Sagittarius wants to get to, the truth is very important to Sagittarius, and kind of getting to and with that, freedom. Like there's when we have that, I don't know if you feel like you need kind of, well, it's hard again because I don't see your chart, but it's like needing a sense of like not everything being the same every day. I need kind of new, different things and variety and stuff like that. But again, when you don't, it's interesting to look at bits like Frian said, oh, I don't really feel adventurous. But like just maybe sit, like I did with the Leo bit of just like sitting with like, but why don't I feel adventurous? Or, it's also, it's looking at it from both sides of, what is it bringing up when I feel like, oh, I'm not adventurous or that's not me? Because you have given yourself a Sagittarius sun for a reason. But also I don't know where it's sitting in your birth chart, if you know what I mean. So it's hard to tell. But I really, like, I did a workshop not last week before, where I was just introducing people to their sun, moon and rising sign, just looking at this purely just the zodiac signs, but every single one I was getting them to sit with how, when they were kind of looking at the energy of each zodiac sign, to really lean into how they were feeling and what kind of was bubbling up for them when they were like reading and like, oh, Sagittarius is adventurous and it's this and it's that. Like, what is kind of coming to the surface? Like, does it make you feel emotional? Does it make you want to push it away? Does it make you, is there a memory that bubbles to the surface when you're thinking of this? Because again, that's all this like golden information of this kind of unraveling and this kind of remembering of it. So it's so, I just love it. I just love it.
So
You
cool,
feel
isn't
it.
it?
It's just, it's brilliant, isn't it? Because it's almost like, because I know I felt like, because I kind of got gravitated towards human design more than astrology, just because I could figure it out easier, I suppose, or maybe I was supposed to. I don't know.
Yeah,
But it's the same thing.
I feel like that's probably you're supposed to, because human design looks not. And I know people that have got so much from it, but I find that bonkers. I can't look at a human design thing. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, see,
Whereas
it makes
other
sense to
people,
me.
there you go. So I just think you're
Yeah.
drawn to what you need.
Yeah. But the human design has elements of astrology and
Yeah.
zodiac like in it, isn't it? And I got drawn to that first, and it did for me what your birth chart did for you. I'd already kind of had my awakening, but it was when I found human design, I was like, oh my God, my mind's been blown. I see everything. But what I love about human design astrology is, and like what you're saying, is that it shows you your blueprint of who you chose to be, who you came here to be. And what I love is that, because a lot of the time you can go to places, if you want to go to kind of like a medium or some kind of psychic that tells you, you want to hear all the nice stuff about you. Oh, you're really great at doing this, or you're really good at doing this. And you're like, oh yeah, I am. But with the astrology and, human design, when it's saying like, oh, you can do this, like you are capable of this, but this is the shadow of it, and it starts triggering you, and it's in your triggers, isn't it, where you're like, well, I'm not like that, or I can't do that, or this must be wrong. It's like, no, that's where you need to look. So it's just brilliant, isn't it? Because that's where you grow, when you start looking at the stuff that you don't want to look at. You start looking at the stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable, like you were saying, with like what feelings come up. That's where the magic is. That's where the magic lies. And then you translate it into the work that I do. That's highlighting to you your limiting beliefs, your programming from childhood trauma. And that's when you can start picking that out, and then you start remembering who you are, like exactly what you did in your journey and what we did in ours. And I just think it's so powerful. It really is. Like, I know why you love it so much. Because it's just incredible. It's like you've got the answers to the universe.
Love it.
Look, and this is, it's just, again, it's this amazing self-discovery tool. Like, it's not just you have your birth chart read, and I feel like that absolutely can be the catalyst to so much change, and you can go off on your own, or you could, like, this is why I kind of do longer journeys with people, so that we can kind of take the time to just kind of dig like deeper into all of the placements and kind of sit with how they're feeling and do the practices and stuff like that. But regardless, it is this, once you kind of dip into or kind of open that doorway, I guess, into kind of just being curious actually about your birth chart, you will never not learn something new or discover something new about yourself every time you look at your birth chart. And it's just trusting that kind of intuitive pull of like, okay, I want to have another little, or where was my moon sign again? Or what, I wonder where my Saturn is and what that means for you. It's like trusting is back to that kind of Neptune in Aries again. It's like just leading yourself to what your kind of, your intuition is kind of guiding you towards, like discovering next. And a really other great tip actually is it's really wonderful to kind of tie the lunar cycle, so working with the moon every new and full moon with your birth chart. So that's what I do. Like every new moon I see, I kind of get my birth chart out and I look to see what that new moon is illuminating in my chart. So everybody can do that. So I can't actually remember it's a Sagittarius new moon on Saturday, but I can't remember the degree. But you basically can go to Sagittarius, say it was like 13 degrees, and see where that is in your birth chart, and then see what house is being illuminated. And it just kind of gives you like a slither of like, oh, like, is this area of my life the kind of the moon where like she is in that moment is asking me to kind of focus in on this bit. And you can do that every new moon and full moon. And that's what I've done for the past like 3.5 years.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. So, like, is it the same? So, because obviously, new moon and full moons, do they mean the same thing? Do you do the same thing on a new moon and a full moon? You just say what's it illuminating, or is there a difference?
Well, so I do for the new moon and full moon, I do see like what it's illuminating, but because the energies of a new moon and full moon are different. So a new moon, it's the start of the lunar cycle, so it's very much about setting intentions, planting seeds, thinking about what it is that I'm kind of dreaming about, what I want to create. It's kind of got a different energy, so it's more about maybe setting an intention or getting kind of clearer or a bit more clarity on that particular area of your life that you want to plant a seed in, maybe potentially. But then on a full moon, it's about thinking about what we want to celebrate, like looking a real opportunity to kind of highlight how far we've actually come, because we're so bad at celebrating ourselves and actually acknowledging our growth and sitting with it. But also because a full moon is a time to let go, to think about what stood in our way, and that almost kind of comes easier to us because it's easy to say, oh, this this thing, oh, this limiting, blah 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 blah, which is important, absolutely, but it's like, let's celebrate first. Actually, let's just take a moment to see how far we've actually come, and then to kind of get more awareness of what we want to let go of. But that full moon will be illuminating a particular area in your chart, which might give you a more of an indication and make it more unique to you in terms of what area of life maybe I need to release some limiting beliefs or relationship or job or whatever it is. But it's also this wonderful invitation to just, let me look at my birth chart, because is there a planet in my chart that's being activated, potentially like my Jupiter is, or my North Node, or this is, again, it's all these things that kind of make it more unique to you and your kind of self-discovery and your self-growth.
Oh, I love that. It's like a checking in point, isn't it? And you're doing it
Yeah.
every month.
I
Like,
have
that's brilliant.
I have a thing called I created it a couple of months ago called a Moon Magic Bundle, and it's just a smartphone moon calendar that you put in your phone, so it shows you when the new moon and full moon's coming. But every new moon and full moon, it tell you the degree point and everything, and this bundle comes with a few videos just to show you what you're looking at, remind you of what you need to be doing. So I can share the
Oh,
link.
I love that. Are you if you say still offering that?
Yeah, it's £27. Like, it's just
Awesome.
just a little thing. I was like, oh, that'll be good for just like,
Oh,
because
that's so
again, I
good.
think it's just a nice baby step into kind of, because I'm such a lover of working with the moon, because it helps you build this. We talk about manifestation and everything, but it kind of helps you with that, building that momentum, and
Yeah.
getting really clear though on what it is that you want, but also helping you take the actions towards it, because as we know, we can't just manifest from just you know, just thinking it. You actually have to kind of get aware and take the actions alongside it. So working with the moon really encourage, you know, it gives you that kind of structure or that accountability, I guess, working with it to help you manifest and build momentum. And also, if you're doing it in the same journal every month, you get to then flip back. If you're starting to work in it in this way, you get to be like, oh god, the last full moon I was letting go of this, and actually I have made steps and I've got better. You know, it's this lovely, you get this lovely journal, this lovely like kind of you're collating all of this evidence and proof of your growth.
Yes. Oh, Jenna, I love that. And it, like, I'm seeing it, like, it can really link in with the work that I'm doing. I'm like, I need my clients to have
Oh,
this,
that would be awesome.
because so obviously from like my point of view is working with the subconscious mind and understanding how that works and how we can use that for manifestation, and obviously all the limiting belief stuff. Like what you're doing right there when you're on your new moon and your full moon, you're basically programming your subconscious mind with your intentions of like what you're letting go, or with the celebrating. You're programming your subconscious mind both ways to make that important. So if you're going on to like Jenna's thing, using her thing, and then going on and finding out which house your moon is, and what it's illuminating, you're making that really important to your subconscious mind. And so for the next month, in the back of your mind, without you even having to realize, you're going to start being pushed towards taking the action that you need to take, because you've programmed that in. And that's really helpful for manifestation when you start getting your subconscious mind on board, and for taking action. Similarly with the full moon, when you're kind of celebrating as well, that's rewiring your perspective to look at a more an abundance mindset of, you know, well, this is all the good things that are happening to me. And you keep doing that every month. Our subconscious learns by repetition, and that's creating some really great habits. So I love that.
I
Awesome.
just it's kind of a non-negotiable thing that I do now for myself. And again, it's like it's only twice a month, you know, a new moon and a full moon, but it took a lot of effort initially to just, it felt like a lot to carve out space for myself to just sit with me and a journal and just kind of allow myself to just, you know, to think about how I was feeling and especially on a new moon, I found it really hard to think about, well, what is it that I want? Like, what am I, you know, back in the days of like not really knowing who I was and things like that. And it used to just, my kind of advice is like, if you're starting with like setting new intentions and things like that, is to just keep it really small. Just keep it, you know, you can go as big and like as you want, but when you're just starting and dreaming and kind of stepping into thinking about what it is that you want to create feels really kind of like, God, I don't know where to start. Just keep it really small, and just in terms of like, I just want to kind of be more aware of how I'm feeling day by day, and just kind of keep tapping into that. Or I just want to kind of look after myself. Like I just want to, what was one of the things I think really early on, it was just like starting to look after myself in terms of like what I was feeding myself, or like drinking water. Like it was just like very small little things as I was kind of, do you know what I mean? It's just like it gets to be, sometimes it can feel really overwhelming to kind of start with these big like leaps, whereas actually I think sometimes when we take it back to just the baby steps, it makes it a little bit more manageable. And then you kind of, as you kind of get to grips with it, it becomes easier every new moon.
Absolutely. No, that's something that I really like. I would like to start implementing. That feels good to me.
Well,
It does
you're
feel
in
good.
time. It's a Sagittarius new moon on Saturday, I want to say.
Perfect. It's
We will
amazing. Need to like
start.
get that
And this is the thing,
sorted.
when you have the calendar, if you get something like that in your phone,
Yes.
you're getting this like, you kind of getting this reminder of, oh, okay, so I need to make time for that. But also, I have all of these other phases where it's like, for instance, just before we're about to go into the dark moon, which is the end of the lunar cycle, and that's when we need to rest, like down tools, not do anything. Like again, it's like when we can really like the lunar cycle just teaches us to be kind of to be more cyclical, to embrace that we are cyclical creatures, just like nature. Like we need that kind of wintering time, we need that kind of powering down time. We're not meant to be linear and 24/7 go productive. Like where when you start kind of tuning into these phases, it helps you kind of like know that you've got to take your foot off the gas in order to then later on in the cycle to kind of propel forward and to be really creative and really productive. But that will not happen if you're not resting and slowing down. So it's just, it gives you all of these prompts and reminders to kind of get into that as well.
Yeah, I
that's
love that.
awesome. I
Thank
do.
you. Thank you so much for that. So when people, because you mentioned that you kind of work with people in a container for a longer period of time, what what does it look like to work with you, to be in your programs? What is it that you do with people?
Do you know what? It's very, so I do one-to-one work, and that is really, it's so intuitively led. Like, we'll obviously always start off with an initial birth chart reading, but then we dig into what kind of feels best for them to kind of work on next, in terms of, right, I feel like we should be doing a bit of a deeper dive into your moon sign, for instance. So we kind of, it's like, it's a lot of that kind of one-to-one space of us just having that kind of conversation and just seeing what kind of comes to the surface. But then there's voice coaching, because obviously after that initial call, it's like then things start to bubble up a few days later, and it's like I need to kind of, this is coming up. So it's that, but it's also the kind of, what I'm realizing more and more is that along this 3-year journey, there's other more kind of like witchy things I've been doing in the background, which I hadn't been really doing with my clients. So it's like mirror work and dancing and kind of a bit of I say breath work, but not in the kind of you know, I'm not in a kind, I'm not a breath work facilitator, because I
Yeah,
don't, but it's just
using the
all of
breath.
these, yeah, using your breath. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
It's all of these practices and stuff that I also kind of hold space for people to do. I also, like, I've got a client that's starting with me tomorrow, and I'm kind of holding space for her to build an altar for her kind of soul journey. It's like making these kind of intentional kind of doing these intentional like rituals and practices for us to start kind of putting ourselves and our kind of soul journey like front and center, because some people just need, like, you need someone to just walk alongside you to help you prioritize yourself and prioritize your kind of your growth, and know that it's really important, because sometimes it's so hard for us to just like lean into like investing in ourselves and like, oh no, this is important work to just be pouring into me. And actually, when I do that, it benefits everybody around me. Like, but we're so conditioned to feel like it's selfish to invest in our own self growth. Kind of like, who are you to be like, have a
Yeah,
coach or to pour into the, you know, it's just, but actually everybody that we love kind of benefits when we do that. So yeah, it's a lot of one-to-one, but also I'm doing another course probably in February, which is more of an online thing. So every week I'm sending everybody a lesson on a particular planet in their birth chart, with a kind of deep dive into it with a magical practice, and then we come together for moon circles like twice a month.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. That's
Lovely.
It's
so
called You Are a Phenomenon, which is like sometimes incredibly hard to say and spell, but
yeah.
but it really encapsulates like my message and how I really feel about everybody. And what your birth chart can unlock is that you are a miracle. Like, the chances of you being here alive, I think it's like 1 in 40 trillion or something bonkers bananas.
Wow.
But like, that
Wow.
is like a scientific like statistic of like the odds of you being alive, like as you. And your birth chart like is this map of your uniqueness. Nobody else has ever or will ever have a birth chart like yours. And so it really helps you kind of connect back with it. You are a unicorn. Like,
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
actually a unicorn. Like, I did masterclasses of this earlier in the year, just saying you're a unicorn. Like, it's like people need reminding constantly that they are magical and limitless, and kind of and it's just like, we only have one life as us, this version. So like, the more that we can kind of remember that now and get on board with it, it's like the more we can just get on with our soul mission and who it is that we're meant to be and become and create in the world. And I just, yeah. Yeah.
I love that so much.
Everything there that you just said.
It's amazing. And that's just my mission and our mission with the podcast, my mission with the work that I do, that exact thing as well. Just like helping people remember how incredible, limitless you are.
Yeah.
And we need you out there being who you came in here
Yeah.
to be, because you came in here to be here for a reason, and we can all benefit like from
sure.
people being who they're supposed to be, aren't we? So yeah, it's just like, thank you so much for like, this has been so enlightening
Yeah.
about, because astrology is a little bit like
Daunting, isn't it?
yeah, unless you
It's
just
a lot.
you see it as like
Mm.
sun signs and you know,
Mm.
oh, I'm a Leo, I'm a
Yeah,
Capricorn.
yeah.
But there's so much more to it than
Mm.
that, and I'm really like keen for people to kind of understand that, because it's just, there is so much. I went and I had my birth chart read, you know, fairly recently, and she, like you said in the beginning, she was saying things and I was like, you're articulating how I feel, but I didn't even know I felt like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was, and it's
That's
like
Crazy.
it's a
great.
perfect mirror, isn't it? It's like,
Mm.
it's so, and I have such respect for you guys being able to understand
Oh, it's
and all the
amazing.
knowledge you have. And I'm just so grateful that there are people in this world that
That
can
can do
translate
it.
the stars and stuff for us, because it's magical. It really is. I've always loved looking at the stars. I've had such a like love of space and all things that since I was a child, and I
It's
just
because
think it's
you're
amazing.
like Verity and you're from
Yeah.
another star system, or
Yeah.
we do. I mean, we
Oh,
don't know, but it's
100%.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've been out there and I'm ready to go back. Probably go flying there in my dreams, I'm sure. But like, yeah, as much as we can bring it down to here and help people use it to help them, it's just amazing. So before we go, Jenna, is there
Mhm.
anything you would like? I mean, what you've just said there is just incredible anyway, but is there anything else you would just like to leave people with, or something to send them away with after listening to this?
Just to trust if you've been listening to this conversation and something within you is like, oh, I feel really intrigued by that, just to completely take that as a sign to go ahead and kind of create your birth chart. Go and kind of either go on my website or go on, just literally Google in how do I create my birth chart, and just do it, because that is soul you coming online and telling you there is something in here for you. Because that was my experience, just some influencer being like, oh, I just had my birth chart read, and then something went, that's for me. I don't know why. It does not make sense. I did not know what a birth chart reading was. And sometimes we want things to be logical. We want to understand, or it needs to make a bit of like common sense or whatever. And it's like sometimes things don't make sense, but it's actually just trusting your intuition of where you're being led and guided. And that is the universe giving you these little breadcrumbs. And it's like this bit next. And just trust yourself, trust your intuition.
Yeah.
Oh,
Amazing.
thank you
so much.
so
Jenna, we will
much.
put all your details in the show notes, and I'd
For
love
sure.
to get like the link to your moon calendar thing, so we could put that in there for people as well, make it super easy. But where can people, just right now, where can people find you? What's the best place?
Instagram at Scorpio Moon Coach, or my website, which is www.scorpiomooncoach.co.uk.
Ah, perfect. Lovely and
Perfect.
easy. Thank you so much, Jenna. It's been an
Thank you,
absolute
Jenna.
pleasure having you on the show.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
much. It's just joy, like easy. Like I'm just like, how is this work?
I know.
We say
right?
that, don't we?
Yeah. How lucky are
Lucky.
we? How lucky are we? Right, guys, that is it for another week. We will see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.